All right. So a lot of you sent me this video of Dylan Mulvaney on The View, and they're talking about trans athletes in sports. And as you guys know, that's a pet peeve of mine because I have two daughters, and I've always believed that there's a difference between men and women, especially when it comes to sports at the most elite level, right? Like, I'm not fast. I know there are plenty of women out there who can beat me in a race, but at the highest level of sports, women cannot compete with men. And as a simple example, FloJo. FloJo is the fastest woman ever to run the 100-meter dash. She did in like 10 point something seconds, 10.4, something like that. World record. It hasn't been broken in like 30 years.
This is the fastest woman of all time.
Cannot be. No one can run that fast.
This is Florence Griffith Joyner. Before setting up her Olympic career, Florence struggled in a family of 11 children that lived in poverty in Los Angeles. She was made fun of throughout school, but that didn't stop her from joining the track and field teams in high school and university. And by 1984, she competed in the Olympics, taking home a silver medal. But she decided to push for even more, which is when she lined up for an 100-meter race in 1988 during the Olympic trials, ready to set history.
One is open, and quickly, Florence Griffith Joyner blowing away the field.
The time of 10.49 seconds is still, to this day, the world record in the women's 100 meters. She went on to win gold in the Olympics with a time of 10.54 and also took home the gold medal in the 200-meter and 100-meter relay race.
Unbelievable that record hasn't been broken for that many years. I didn't know that.
But every single year, routinely, high school boys beat her time.
And we are all number one in the nation.
And Matthew Bowling in lane 4, leading from start to finish. And a battle for second and third. It looked like Hewitt finishes third and Lance Broom second. Let's see if that's how it officially comes down. Matthew Bowling, 9.98. Matthew Bowling under 10 seconds in the boys' 100-meter dash. 9.98.
Now remember, this is a high school boys track meet, and look at these times. 9.98, 10.27, 10.33, 10.47 at a high school 100-meter track meet. All four of those boys have run faster than the fastest woman in the history of running. Those four boys at a high school event a couple of years back. That is the difference between men and women in sports. So we're talking about the gold winner, world record winner for women. Every year is beaten by 14 and 15-year-old boys running track at high school. That's the difference. And that's the difference that your feelings just can't overcome. But let's see what The View says about it, because The View is all about feelings. And I think that's the issue here. It's feelings versus reality. Reality is Dylan Mulvaney is a guy, but feels like a woman. Now, socially, if you say, don't call me Dylan, call me Dana, or, treat me like a woman, okay, no problem, right? You're a woman, do your own thing, right? Live your life, right? I'm all for freedom, but I don't have to agree with it, nor do I have to support it. And lastly, I don't have to pretend that reality doesn't exist. I don't have to pretend that men and women have equal playing field when it comes to sports. That's the reason why we have something like Title IX, which demands that women's sports be funded equally as men's sports, because we understand women can't compete at the highest levels with men. It's too much of a barrier. And we also know that this is something that is just evolution in nature. God made us this way. There's nothing we can do to really change this, but we'll see how they discuss it. We'll see if anybody on the panel is going to side with the reality that men and women are different, especially when it comes to sports.
I wanted to ask you, because there's been all of this debate about whether transgender athletes should be able to compete. And last week, California Governor Gavin Newsom said that he thinks that trans athletes competing in girls' and women's sports was deeply unfair.
Would you say no men in female sports?
Well, I think it's an issue of fairness. I completely agree with you on that. So that's easy to call out, the unfairness of that.
Now, so you guys aren't shocked. I agree with Gavin Newsom. It's obviously unfair. It's deeply unfair. And I think common sense matters when you have something that's so blatantly obvious. But let's see, because obviously to Whoopi, it doesn't really seem that obvious.
I want to hear what you think, because I
Well,
I'll tell you what I think, too.
Yeah. The last time I played a sport, I was 6 years old, and I was on a soccer team, but I assigned myself as the nurse. So I sat with the Band-Aids. And so, in the words of Wicked, I am not that girl. But a dear friend of mine, Skylar, he is a trans athlete. His handle's Pink Manta Ray. That's someone who I really look to for guidance. And I think that is what's tricky is like, now stepping in this identity, I'm still like a baby trans. You know, I've only 3 years in. Tomorrow's my anniversary.
Your friend went Your friend went from female to male and is competing with other males.
Correct.
No. Yes.
Her friend.
Yes. Her friend went from female to male and is competing with other males.
So Gavin doesn't have a problem with that.
Well, I think part of the problem that the trans community is facing, and it's the same problem that women face, is if you don't know anything about our bodies, you don't know how it works. So when you come in and you say, oh, you know, these are men, you know,
competing
against women, you're assuming that the women are weak and just can't do anything except be here.
So I'm going to say it. I think Whoopi's just an idiot. I know we have the same hairstyle. Whoopi is an idiot. No one thinks it's just because women are so good. It's because of reality. We just looked at it yourselves. You just saw it, right? I just showed you. The fastest woman alive set the record 30 years ago. It's beaten by high school boys. This isn't some mental theory that no one thinks about. This is reality. And she's trying to make it seem like the argument on the other side doesn't matter. Now, another thing they brought up is that they said, well, this person transitioned from female to male and they're competing against the men. That person's not winning anything. That person's not winning any events, right? Because that person cannot compete against men. You don't see women transitioning to men and winning gold medals. That doesn't happen. They may be able to compete, but that they will not be able to win anything. That's just the reality of the biological reality. Now, Whoopi is trying to play, either she's playing dumb or she is just dumb. But she has to know the reason why we have female Olympic gold medals and male Olympic gold medals is because of this issue. And if they really don't believe that there's any change in it, or because we don't know women's bodies, well, you know what they should do? Eliminate the gender divide. Say, just have the Olympic gold medal, whoever wins, wins. And see how many women actually even make it to the podium. How many women even qualify? You know how many will qualify for the 100-yard dash? Or 100-meter dash. I keep saying 100-yard dash. The 100-meter dash. You know how many women will qualify? Absolutely none. Because high school boys will be able to break any records they set.
Have you seen female athletes? They know what they're doing. So I'm not sure what's going on or why this is an issue. The same for me as when people say, oh, you know, I don't know how I feel about you. You do. God doesn't make mistakes.
No.
And the challenge is not to the trans people, it's to the people who are not trans. That's what God is looking to see, how you treat people.
Yeah.
That's what is happening. So I was just curious as to what, I liked your answer.
Thank you.
I liked your answer.
Why are these people clapping? What are they clapping for? They're literally arguing to destroy women's sports, right? If we were back 20, 30 years ago, the claps would be, we shouldn't let men and women compete. They should be separated. Title IX. That's feminism, right? Now they're clapping to destroy women's sports. And the argument is so, I feel like I'm living in Bizarro world. Like, what argument is she making? We literally know that's the reason why we have women's divisions and men's divisions. It's not like this is even hard. How does this become such a we don't know thing? This is, we know.
That's what is happening. So I was just curious as to what, I liked your answer.
Thank you.
I liked your answer. So
her answer. Well, number one, it's a guy. But number two, you know, it's, again, live your life. Wear your hair, do whatever you want. But if you're a boy trying to compete with girls in women's sports, there's a problem. So that's the end of their conversation about trans athletes in sports. And I will say this, the show is called The View, but this is the most extreme left-wing view that you're ever going to get. It just is. And they need like true conservatives on that show, because I would call Whoopi out as someone who wants to destroy women's sports. I'm like, you don't agree with the feminist movement. You are looking to destroy women's sports because you want men to compete and pretend that they're women. That's what I would tell Whoopi. I would call Sonny. I'm like, you're the biggest racist on TV because you don't see people for who they are. You only see the color of their skin. That makes you a racist. I would say those things to those people and they would be yelling and crying, oh my God, blah, blah, blah. But I'm like, yeah. Now, like, that's why Trump wins the election, because of shows like The View. The View put forward things. They are literally making the audience, you who are watching this with me, like, we are so dumb, right? That they challenge our intelligence so much that they can tell us anything, right? Men and women are the same. They should be able to compete together. There's no difference. Like, we don't know that there is. Like we haven't spent our whole lives watching the differences. Like, we can't just look up the stats and see that elite women and elite men can't compete with each other. It would be a blowout every time for the guys. But you know what happens is that type of mentality to think that you know more than the entire audience, even though they know for a fact that what they're saying is not true. Again, I don't know how people watch this show. I don't know how it's still on. But hey, what can you say? I think The View is one of those shows that make more conservatives every day. Because when you watch it and you say, you're like, hey, I understand where you're coming from, but don't make me feel like I'm the dumb one when you're saying stupid stuff like men can compete with women at the highest elite level, because you know that's not true. Tell me where I'm wrong in the comment section. Say, hey, Nate, I disagree with you. I think men and women we should just cancel all the segregation and just let men and women compete in whatever sport and let the cream rise to the top. You know why we're not going to do that? Because that's lunacy. And we all know it is. Don't forget to like, subscribe to all our great YouTube stuff. My name is Nate the Lawyer. I'll see you next one. Peace.